Hi, I'm Butchie Nieves, and if I find myself today in a very interesting scenario in my life. For the past 27 years, I've dedicated my life, um, all my efforts, all my know-how, and all my everyday thought to a situation that I find myself today. Trust me, it's the last thing that I want to be doing in my life is where I'm at today. But 27 years ago, in a nightclub that I used to own called Club 280, 1989, I was approached to meet this young leader that happened to be deputy mayor of the city of Newark back then, Newark, New Jersey, and his name was Luis Quintana. When he was introduced to me was as the first Puerto Rican elected official in the city of Newark, New Jersey. That excited me. It got me to a point where I would pay more attention on what was the role to make that a reality, the first elected official in the city of Newark. In 1989, we had no real representation when it came to the Puerto Rican community or the Latino community. I felt it very strong that this person, Luis Quintana, could be one of the first steps that our community could take to start having some kind of leadership, some kind of representation, and again, some kind of stamp in the city of Newark that the Puerto Rican were here in the city of Newark. So anyway, we moved on forward and we created all kind of different projects in this nightclub of mine. We started our first Halloween party for Luis Quintana. We started probably one of the first fundraisers that we did small in my nightclub, Club 280. We started the whole movement of what it was getting elected, our first Puerto Rican elected official, which was Luis Quintana. A whole group of us got together, women and men of thoughts alike, with very a tool chest full of ideas to make this happen, to make the goal of actually getting someone of Puerto Rican descent in the city of Newark. I felt like I was on the right road. I felt like anything that I do or didn't do was going towards the right road, which was to get our first Puerto Rican elected official elected, which was Luis Quintana. We went through a lot of tribulations getting the whole election together. We ran in 1990 for councilman at large against a candidate that was very well established, very well rooted in the community, and we were not successful for, in my opinion, for technical irregularities, to say the least. But guess what? We established something that never ever before was established. We established a platform that from this point on, since 1999, there was a community that you were going to contend with. And that was the Puerto Rican community and the Latino community back then. Quintana was someone that I looked at as a tool to help myself and help the folks around me. Myself, not as much, because I was the owner of a club. I was doing very well, and I think that I didn't need his help for anything. But I knew that if I stay with this dream of getting Luis Quintana elected, it was going to open up many doors, many doors. And we took on the unattainable. We took it on, whether it was other politicians, whether it was policies, whether it was just a thought that we needed to be in the table. We needed to be somewhere where our community felt like if there's a pie that we wanted a piece of that pie. And this is why I felt that the strongest, that I was able to put my community in the negotiating table. Because for many years prior to 1990, we were never ever were part of the table. We were standing around the table, but we were never part of the table. So we took on issues that cost people their jobs. We took on issues that caused livelihoods and caused animosity around our folks because they stood behind the thought that we needed to get a Puerto Rican elected. This is where I was at in 1990s. This from 1990 to 1994, there was a lot of ups and downs because the whole machine was working against us, was working in a way where we felt like we were going uphill at every step. But guess what? I believe in Luis Quintana. I believe in the folks standing around him. I believe in the ideology that we have to do this. Now we're in 1994. In 1994, we took on the same challenge to run Luis Quintana for councilman at large. And guess what? The 4 years, actually the 5 years ago, we started in 1989. The 5 years of hard work that we put to establish who we are in the city and in the state, it gave us what we wanted, our first councilman at large, our first Puerto Rican elected in the city of Newark. That feat was felt across throughout the whole city, throughout the whole state, throughout the whole United States. And forget about Puerto Rico. Puerto Ricans felt in Puerto Rico like we finally, in the city of Newark, we had established our ground. Why? Because since 1948, Puerto Rico has been coming to the city of Newark and been establishing their families, establishing their whole careers, establishing everything that meant to be Puerto Rican here in the city of Newark. And we did it with Councilman Quintana. And again, it was not an easy road, but it was a road that had to be taken. Unfortunately, in that process, I lost my nightclub. Unfortunately, in that process, a lot of people lost their job because we were a threat to the mainstream powerhouse of this city. But guess what? We kept on moving forward, and there was a lot of lumps that we took because there's a lot of my friends, male and female, that pay the price for standing next to Luis Quintana. I pay the price where I had to basically close my nightclub because the powers to be in City Hall made it so difficult for me that I had no way to turn but to find myself without a nightclub. But guess what? It was worth it because we're working for a movement. We have our goal, and our goal, we accomplished it, which was electing Councilman at Large, Luis Quintana. There, I was able to acquire a job, okay? And the job that I was put to do, it was very interesting. In the Newark Housing Authority, which is where I ended up working, Councilman Quintana put me there so I could look out for the interests of our community, our Puerto Rican Latino community. Because the Housing Authority in that time was a very shambles. It was very shady in the way our community was being treated. But they put the right person there because when I get into something, I give it all my all. So I started working in the Housing Authority, and the first thing that we did, we started challenging. We started challenging the mere fact that they had no applications that were in Spanish. In a Housing Authority, a federal agency. And we did this through the help of Butchie pushing, and making sure that at that time, when I started working, Luis Quintana was not a councilor. He was just he was the deputy mayor. And we kept on pushing, and we established the respect in the Housing Authority when it came to our community. That put Luis Quintana in another level altogether because it took us from not being on the table, not being part of the negotiating process, and now part of the solution. I'm a Newarker. I've been in Newark all my life. And one thing I feel about Newark is that Newark is not an easy town back then, even worse now. But it's a town that once you spend some time in Newark and you settle here in the city of Newark, you know that you're either going to do something to improve it or you're going to move out. I have no plans of moving out. I've been in the city of Newark for all my life, 59 years. But I knew that we had someone that could lead us or could help us lead us to where we're going. We live the likes of Sharp James. We live the likes of Cory Booker. Now we live in the lives of Mayor Ross Baraka. But in every step of the way, we make sure that Councilman Quintana fell in a spot that represented us, that was our voice, that in that table, in that pie that had to be divided, he was there to make sure that we were represented and that we got our representation. I felt like I was part of a bigger picture. In these 27 years that I spent with Luis Quintana, I felt I was part of a solution, part of stopping the abuse, the dirty politics of if you don't think like you will lose your job. If you don't do like they said, your family will lose whatever the city or agencies were supplying. I want to be part of the solution through Luis Quintana to eliminate all that. To eliminate the fact that because you have an opinion or because you have a different way of looking at it, you will have to look for your livelihood. You will have to look out for whatever you have established in the city that it might or might not be in existence any longer. I want to be part of that solution. And guess what? I'm still part of that solution. Unfortunately, that ideology did not fit well in these days. Why I say that? Because in the housing authority, we had to take them on, and we basically had to pressure them to stop using that agency as an agency where it keeps our people from being part of it, where it keeps our people from getting their Section 8, keeps our people from just moving on forward like every American wants to do. And that was through the housing. We took on the housing authority. In my process of being next to Luis Quintana, they needed someone now to run for the school board. And in 2000, I was asked by Luis Quintana and a few folks to put my name on a ballot to get elected for the school board, the Newark Public School Board. And I did it. Something that I was not interested in doing, but I knew that I was a team player, and I knew that at that time I needed to do that. I went and campaigned. We went everywhere. Again, I kept on looking at Luis Quintana as someone that meant a bigger picture than what I wanted in my life and than that I believe that I should be involved. But then, there it goes again, believing in the project, believing in the bigger picture, and I get elected as a Newark Public School, at that time, we still here, advisory board member. I went in there furiously wanting to change the whole process of how our community was being treated by the Board of Education at that particular time. And I was a board member between 2000 and 2003. I actually ended in 2004. Again, believing in the fact that if you want change, you can't talk about it, you can't think about it, you can't even wish it. You got to be part of that change. You got to roll up your sleeve and do it. And that's what I did with Luis Quintana, because I really, really in my heart felt that those were things that needed to be done. And I did it. I did it with a passion that today I'm doing it as we speak. The only process that we were able to accomplish by me becoming a board member is that we were on the table. Now, circumstances came around where we were the deciding factor of how the school board was looked at from this point on. And that was a period that I felt that I did what needed to be done, and it got done. Next came where I decided, or not I, the group decided, well, we were going to really engage in our community and start putting our community to try to get them employed, try to negotiate deals where we will get our community employed. We tried very, very hard. But the hardest part was that who was sitting on that table representing us, for some reason or another, he was not being very effective. Because till this day, we still find a lot of our folks that work very hard in those years from 1989 to 2005, that worked very, very hard and never got rewarded by even just offer a job or even attempt to offer them a job. That piece of that downfall, I blame it on Councilman Quintana. Why? Because he forgot why was it that we all worked so hard. And when I'm talking about we're talking about a number of probably anywhere from 30 to 50 people that gave a lot of their family time, a lot of their financial, and a lot of the most valuable part, which is their knowledge, their effort, their push to make him happen. Don't know what happened along the way. All I know is that today I find myself in 2016 in a situation that it's alarming to a lot of people. It's very depressing to the fact that how do you get to this point? You took on all the fights. You went on and created a machine, a base that will only going to bring good stuff for our community. Unfortunately, certain process happen that if you don't have the proper person representing you, it puts you in the back of the line again. They will gain, but what we were here for, which it wasn't for us, it was for the community as a whole, they don't gain. They don't gain because now everything that's being done from this point on is a me. Is a me feeling. No longer is a we. No longer is a community. And that's where we are today. I became president of the North Puerto Rican Day Parade in 2014. In 2014, the Puerto Rican Day Parade was probably one of the most laughed at organization. It was probably looked at as it didn't even exist. But I tell you what, I sat down with the leadership, the Puerto Rican leadership, and we came all along and we were clear that what we had to do with this organization is revamp it. It was give it new meaning, give it a new way of how to do it. And that's what we started doing. I was so happy that one of the 4 pillars of this organization, his name was Luis Quintana. Happy in a way where I knew that if the Puerto Rican Day Parade, which established in 1961, for the mere fact of representation of our community, for the mere fact of teaching our community how to vote, for the mere fact of teaching our community that we're here, we count, we worth something. That's what this organization was established in 1961. In 2014, when I took it over, I've decided as one of the members of the executive board that we would take that same mantra, that same mission and revamp it and put it in a way where it fit in today's era. That with the 4 Puerto Rican elected officials, we decided to make it a road that had to be paved. And that road, we started paving it slowly but surely with all the help of our Puerto Rican community, our community whole in the city north, city government. And we started moving it forward. And we got the parade back where it's supposed to be, which was we created transparency. We made it legal for the first time in the history. We made it a 501c3 or 3C. We made it accountable. We made it in a way. We made it again relevant. We made the organization count once again. In that process, I always counted with those 4 Puerto Rican elected officials, which in our organization we call them the pillars of this organization. In that process, I asked Councilman Quintana, as the brother that I thought he was, I asked him to always take the lead in the organization when it came to anything that had to do with the community, anything that had to do with governance, anything that had to do with making sure that this organization was well respected within those circles that I don't run in, which is the political world. I'm not into that. I am a low bearing standard in that world. But as president of the organization, I was so happy that, which I thought was my brother, was standing right next to his organization. This organization made strides. One was we brought the attention back from the community in the city of Newark and in the state of New Jersey. We brought the attention of Puerto Ricans throughout the whole country because they were sending us emails, inboxes, thanking us for a great job that we did in 2015, which is my first year of actually governing with the board. And we were so happy, so amazingly filled that we accomplished what we established to do in our first year. And I was so happy to know that my brother Luis Quintana was standing right next to us with the success and with the accomplishment of what it means to take a dead organization and bring it back to life, and to know that he played a real big role. But then 2016 rolled in. I don't know what happened in 2016 with Councilman Quintana, but I did know that everything that we were fighting for, he was taking like a back step to it. The other three elected officials were up front, making sure that whatever this organization was trying to fight for, that at the very least they were having the moral support standing next to us. We took on a fight for an office for the organization. And instead of Councilman Quintana standing next to us and say, we're going to go after that office and we're going to make it happen, I find myself that he's trying to convince me to give up that dream about getting in an office because it's not going to happen. And I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. You're supposed to be saying, no, let's make it happen. We're gonna bring every issue and every opportunity up to the table to make it happen. And no, nothing. I found myself in a situation where I had to take a step back and look at him and say, what's going on here? You know, like, whoa, this is not my brother, and this is not one of the pillars of this organization way of acting. But we kept on pushing, and we got the office. Yes, we did. It was not easy, but the Puerto Rican Day Parade of Newark, New Jersey finally got their cultural office. We finally got where our kids and our program coordinator could meet and make things happen when it came to this organization. We had a grand opening, and Councilman Quintana mentioned something that was very interesting, but did not fit well on what I was witnessing, and that was this. I want to thank Butchie for everything that this organization has accomplished and where this organization is going. And I said within myself, what? You just spent a better time of this fight trying to get this office, trying to convince me to give up the idea that this office was not going to happen. Now that we accomplished it, now you're saying that we need to fight to keep on going, or not fight, we need to keep on pushing this organization to reach all its level that it's supposed to be. But we moved on from there. We moved on to the point where we established the office, and now we got all kind of programs, all kind of beautiful things going on with this organization. And I still look at my four pillars of this organization with an eye, a gleam in my eye, because I know it's so easy to want to dream of doing something, but if you don't have people standing behind you, people that make a difference stand behind you, it's not going to happen. And I kept on moving forward. We put the parade together for 2016. We started making all the right moves so everything falls perfectly. So our 2016 parade is one of the ones that mostly get looked at because it's the second year of this organization bringing the organization back to life. But then I noticed that Councilman Quintana is being very negative about a lot of things when it came to the organization. I noticed that in a situation where I expected him to stand up to the plate and say, I'm here to help, I see him requesting things from me that I were not something that I'm accustomed from him, and definitely not accustomed from something that will be ever accepted by this organization, because this organization has spent a better time of these past 2 years reestablishing their respect. This is how we got the sponsors to come back. This is how we got for the community to start trusting it. This is how we got for the community to start saying, we want to help it, we will be part of it. And I overlooked it and I said, move on. He even made a request to me that I was unacceptable, and I shot it down immediately. But what I noticed from Councilman Quintana was that now I have created someone that it's really working against me, working against the organization, and I found himself standing in the background instead of one of the pillars of this organization. But because we have some amazing folks helping this organization, we kept on moving forward. We kept on doing it the way we know how to do. And the parade came, and we found ourselves that instead of Councilman Quintana being there to help us, he was there like to hold us back. He was there like we're making us feel like we're doing something wrong. We're not making the right decisions. We're not taking this organization where it's going. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, what's going on here? And you know, again, I'm baffled. I'm like thinking about, how do I get this person to come back to where he belongs, which is being part of the pillars of this organization. But it was just not happening. It was everything. All the time I got a call from Councilman Quintana, it was a problem about something. I always found myself in a defensive mode with him. Many meetings that I had with coordinators of certain projects, which we did a lot of beautiful things in 2016, by the way. I found myself stepping out of this meeting to argue with him about how the organization should be run and not run. And every time I find myself that this guy is trying to like sabotage this organization, but I did not want to believe that. I did not want to say, this brother of mine for 27 years I have dedicated to get him to where he's at, because he did not get there by himself. There was a whole bunch of us that put our life on the line, put our livelihoods on the line to get him where he's at. And I'm looking at him and I'm like, I cannot believe this. But I keep on moving forward. I have a parade to lead. I have an executive board that they're exemplary. They're hard workers. They know how hard we all work to get to where we at. So I started ignoring him. I started like, don't pay attention to that and pay attention about putting this parade together. I put projects together that, although I felt that about him, I put him in spots where it highlighted him. I put him in positions where it made him look as the better of all the Puerto Rican elected officials. I did that because I wanted to wake him up. I wanted to show him, listen, I worked real hard to get this going. A lot of people work real hard to get where you're at. Please wake up. But I don't know what was going on in his life. I don't know if his personal life was in a shamble. I don't know none of that. But I do know that he's affecting where this organization is going. And I am trying my best to wake him up, to get him to the point where he says, Butchie, I apologize to you for what happened in the summer, but we need to get back together on track and make this happen. That never happened. I found myself where I not only had to fight everyone else that wanted to slow down the organization, everyone else that wanted this organization not to exist. Now I have to fight my brother. I have to fight one of the 4 pillars of this organization. I was shattered inside. Shattered. Because the last thing that I thought that I had to be doing was worrying about that my brother for 27 years was probably going to become one of my worst enemies for his action towards the organization. Because this organization took the heart of a lot of people to put it back where it was at. And I'm watching him bit by bit trying to take it apart. But again, my board, the coordinators, the volunteers, the community never knew I was going through this. Never. I kept it all inside. And I said to myself, you're stronger than that, Butchie. Do not allow him to ruin the beauty of what's going. And I kept on moving forward. And now comes the parade. In the parade, I found myself from the minute that I woke up that day, that was supposed to be one of the best days of my life, because this is a 2016 parade. We worked real hard. We put a lot of things on the line. We gave out scholarships. We gave out so many prizes. We engaged youth groups. We engaged senior groups. We engaged community groups to be part of the parade. And we finally did it. We got everything that we were not supposed to get ever again because of the parade reputation. We got it back. But then in the back of my head, I keep on thinking about my brother, Louis Quintana. How I know he's working against me. The many calls that I got late at night with these crazy requests and these crazy suggestions of what and what not I should do with the organization. But guess what? I was able to block it out, and we did an amazing parade. But before we got to the parade, I found myself fighting for everything that the year before in 2015, we got it with ease. We got the barricade, the police barricades with a fight. We got the Porter Johns with a fight. We got the Summer Avenue stage with a fight. We got the cleanup on the day of the festival with a fight, but we were not able to get that. We found ourselves that everything that Councilman Quintana was in charge, he deliberately sabotaged it. Don't know why. Don't understand why, because what happened in the summer, I let it go. I really did. I let it go. You know why? Because 27 years of relationship, mistakes are allowed. And you got to give the opportunity to your brother to redeem himself. But he didn't. He didn't. We went through the process of me not wanting to talk to him because of what he did to the parade. Never mind me, the parade, the organization, how he deliberately tried to sabotage the parade with the community, how he deliberately tried to put me in a position where I had to be looked at as someone that did not do their job. I did my job and then some. The board members did their job and then some. The coordinators did their job and then some. The volunteers did their job and then some. He didn't do his job. He did not do his job. And the very least that he could have done after he did not do it was to apologize, because I refused to go to his 30th year anniversary that he had. I refused to make him think that it was okay. I refused to be part of something that I established with him 27 years ago, which was the Halloween parade for the kids. I refuse to make him think that what he did to this organization was okay. But I was still waiting for that apology from him. A small little apology that it would have gotten the world when it came to what he did. Because that apology would have told me, yes, I'm an elected official, and yes, I have all kind of ins and outs of how to make your life impossible. But you know what, Butchie? You're my brother. And what I did to you and to this organization, I apologize and I'm sorry. But guess what? He did not do it. He did not do it. And he talks about that I'm angry. I'm beyond angry. I'm beyond angry because you don't do that. You don't take the organization and try to sabotage it and then don't even apologize. You don't even want to own up to your mistake. You don't want to own up to what you did. But the other three pillars of this organization stood firm. Firm to the point that they know that the importance of how to keep an organization like that continue going. But he, to this day, everything that he does is deliberately an attack towards me, towards the organization, and to our community. Because he's an elected official. He's supposed to represent us. He's supposed to be the goodness of what this community is. And who I mean by this community, I'm talking about the city of Newark. How are we supposed to move forward in this city that there's so many things going on wrong by having someone like Luis Quintana sabotaging the very organization that he's supposed to protect? The very person that for 27 years has been standing next to him loyally, taking on fights that he would not take on, arguing with people that he would not dare to say what needed to be said, and standing in front of the most treacherous situation to defend him and to make sure that he kept on going as a leader for our community. How am I supposed to go from now on? And it gets worse in my eyes, because you come and you say, this organization, we have worked so hard and we're going to defend it to the end. And an election became about. An election that would decide who was going to be the president and the executive board to lead this organization again. And I start doing what we're supposed to do as an organization. We're supposed to engage our community. We're supposed to bring awareness of what an election is. And we started doing everything that needed to be done to make sure that this organization stood with the leadership that got it off the hole that it was put in. But to my dismay, when I started receiving the calls, the emails, the inboxes, the personal conversations on what Quintana was doing, what Councilman Quintana was doing for this election, he was actually campaigning against me. He was actually manipulating everything good that this organization done and turn it to a bad. He was actually, I would say, he was actually leading to the opponent and giving them all the ins and outs of what we're going with this election. He had the audacity to tell my opponent that happened to be an editor of a local newspaper that on December 12th of 2016, he was going to fire Butchie. He was saying that a month, 2 weeks before the election. He was saying all that on that day, he was going to get rid of me. He was going to fire. Why? Because I was not being respectful to him. Because I was being hard on him. Guess what? I was being nice to you because I kept my mouth shut of everything that you were doing. But one thing that you kept on telling everybody that brought it up to you was, I will never fire Butchie. I will never do that. He's my brother. Yet inside of me, I was burning up, and this fire that I had inside of me, that I had to keep it inside of me because you kept on telling lies about me, trying to get people not to come out and vote. You actually kept me away from events that I am accustomed to being part of because you didn't want me to be in the same room with you. And when we were in the same room, you ignored me and you walked away and you even belittled me by just not acknowledging me. Something that I will never forgive you for that. The interesting part about all this is that I kept on looking at him as my brother, as our elected official, the one that we worked so hard to get him in there. We worked so hard to get Councilman Quintana in where he's at today. But I think he reached a point in his life at the 30-year anniversary where nothing was normal anymore for him, that what was done to us as a community from 27 years ago, all the dirty politics, all the dirty maneuvers that was done against our community, now it's time for him to do to me, which I never thought that he would do this. On Friday before the election was Sunday, December 11th, 2016. On that Friday, the 9th, Councilman Quintana put a letter together to terminate me. Terminate me from my employment. Terminate me from my livelihood. Terminate me from my insurance, health insurance. Terminate me from my life insurance. Terminate me from my pension. That's the letter that he put together. Not only did he break my heart, he broke everyone's heart that worked as hard as I did, if not harder, to do that. Because if anything that always being said in our community about Quintana and Butchie Nieves is, wow, you're still with him. And I always answer, the mission still has to be accomplished. We have to open up the doors for our next leaders. We have to establish our next leadership. We have to keep the road going. And that's why I'm here. It's not a job that I needed to do. It's not like I didn't know how to do other jobs. I was a business owner before I met him. I could have established my own business and many other things. I could have done any other jobs. I was one of the lowest paying, or I was one of the lowest salary receiver from his staff. And I was okay with it because the mission was not money in my life. The mission was to establish what needed to be established as a Puerto Rican man, as a Puerto Rican community, and most important, as something that I believe in. I believe in this city. I believe that if you want to fix this city and put this city in the right road and keep it there, those that can have to, and I'm one of them. I want to be clear. I want everybody to understand. The Puerto Rican Parade does not pay my bills. The Puerto Rican is a volunteer position. You volunteer everything. Everything. When this organization had no money, I went out of my pocket and put it. And I loved every minute of it. Because guess what? The bigger picture was the road up ahead. Because I am a believer of passing the baton. That's who I am. I have always been the type of person that will sit down and listen and talk to anybody that wants to hear what I have to say to move them forward. And I always felt strong that Councilman Quintana will always have my back. Always. Even when I took on those fights that was to better our community, I always believed that he always had my back. And unfortunately, I believe that he lost his path. He lost his road to what he was supposed to do. Because on Friday, when he put that letter to terminate me, it just turned the whole script upside down on himself and everyone that had a dream of moving forward. The most disheartening feeling that I had was to walk in front of the gate that I've been doing for 11 years and see that the lock has been changed. 27 years of my life just flashed right in front of me. And I said to myself, I do not believe this is happening. I do not want this to be happening. Not because of the job, because I will find another job. Just the mere fact that so many of us for 27 years stood next to this man to put him where he's at, to keep him where he's at. His ambition to grow was our ambition, because all the time he grew, we grew. Because life of habit that he will end up being the first Puerto Rican mayor for 8 months, and it was just holding the gate till the next mayor came in. But he was the first, and we were so proud, so happy that he was that. I was elated that Councilman Quintana became Mayor Quintana of the city of North. You don't know the pleasure that myself and so many people had. So when that lock was on that door, on that gate, my whole world just changed completely. Changed completely. There is no turning back. That apology that I was waiting for will never come. That opportunity to once again become brothers will never come. That opportunity for him to be one of the 4 pillars of the North Puerto Rican Day Parade will never come. Yes, I got elected again. I'm here as president of the North Puerto Rican Parade. Happy on one side and sad that Councilman Quintana had to ruin it all by terminating me, by firing me. And again, it's not the job. Jobs come and go. Career starts and they start and they finish and you start again. It's the whole dream of what Councilman Quintana was to me, to our community, to our city. He just shattered it. I don't believe that he even knows what he has done. I could almost believe that one day he's going to wake up and say, what have I done? What have I done? But guess what? When that day comes, you got a friend. You could come to me and apologize to me. And I will forgive you. The last thing that I thought that I'll be doing in my life, today, December 21st of 2016, was to talk about this. I have no other choice. Because from this point on, I have to start my career all over again. I have to safeguard the organization that so many people work so hard for, the North Puerto Rican Day Parade. And I'm not going to allow him or no one to get in the way of the success of this organization. So many people in our community look at this organization as the organization that's going to break the new grounds, that's going to create the new leaders, the new councilmen, the new elected officials, the new business owners, the new spirit of how to move forward as a Puerto Rican community. They look at this organization this way. And I'm not going to let them down. Even though this is the worst moment of my life, I'm not going to give up on what this organization means. I will fight for you. Probably pay the price again that I'm paying right now. But as Butchie Nieves, I promise you that I will always, always stand on the right side of history. And I'm not going to let nobody get in the way. And I thank you for giving me your time to listen to my story. Bye.